Welcome to Sterling Visionary Voices, the podcast dedicated to bringing you diverse, innovative leadership insights and actionable strategies for success. Join hosts Laura McNeil and Bob Medeiros as they explore the art and science of role model leadership through thought-provoking conversations with real professionals. Whether you're a seasoned leader or aspiring to excellence, Sterling Visionary Voices is your guide to navigating the complexities of your leadership journey.
Here's a direct quote from the Forbes Human Resources Council on Leadership. Company culture is increasingly becoming a differentiator for organizations of all sizes and all industries. A positive, productive culture has the power to make prospective employees and customers want to partner with you, and just as important, stay with you for the long term. And the benefits don't stop there. Over 50% of executives now agree that corporate culture can influence productivity, creativity, profitability, firm value, and growth rates. With us today is Randy Ledbetter, founder and owner of R. Ledbetter Associates, a consulting company that has assisted hundreds of clients with improving their facilities operations and aided numerous outsourcing firms by increasing their sales to more than double close ratios, increasing new businesses by as much as 3.5 times, and securing more than $2 billion of annualized new business. During his downtime, Randy has served on the board of directors for the Sterling Council over the past 20 years. He has served as chairman of the council on 3 different occasions and is currently chairman emeritus and chairman of the Sterling Foundation. Randy also supports other organizations, including the Association for Facilities Engineering, the National Association of College and University Business Offers, and International Facilities Management Association. Randy is a 2-time recipient of the Leadership in Educational Facilities Management's Eagle Award. Well, I really want to welcome you, Randy, to Visionary Voices. I know you've been around and about the Sterling Council, so super delighted to talk with you today. Would like to start out with a question. How did you become interested in the study of leadership?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Laura, and also thanks for all you do for Sterling and have done over the years. In regards to how I got into leadership, my first job in facilities management was with a great organization with a great culture for pursuing excellence and helping people grow and develop. I started out as a frontline manager or director, and we were a pioneer in facility management outsourcing and was growing like crazy. So I managed 3 accounts in about 3.5 years and then was promoted to regional manager, then a short period of time to area manager, division manager, vice president. It was very easy to move up with that company over the years. Then I went into sales for a while and then became a sales leader. But as I moved into leadership, I just became a student of the game. I read profusely things like servant leadership, the 1-minute manager. It doesn't take a hero, which was by General Schwarzkopf. I remember a quote out of there, lead, follow, or get the hell out of my way. Also, The Carolina Way by Coach Dean Smith from the University of North Carolina. I didn't go there, but I've always loved their basketball program. And that book of his really used the principles that he taught to his basketball team and apply them to the work environment. And then Who Moved My Cheese, which I think is still a good book about change. But I studied my bosses. I had mentors because I had this huge need to achieve, plus a fear of failure. And I just want to be the best leader I could be. And as far as that goes, I'm still learning and striving. It just sort of happened and evolved over time. And I found that I was able to build some good teams and have a lot of great results. And I enjoyed that, enjoyed seeing those teams grow and develop and become future leaders.
So I love the fact that you offered us some really good reads.
Well, those are oldies but goldies, but still good and still applicable, I think.
Absolutely. I still talk about the cheese book. Don't touch the cheese. All right. So based upon your experience and research, what are the characteristics of role model leaders, and can you offer us some examples?
Well, I think a great leader has the ability to build a great team and to motivate them to work hard, work smart, but also work together. And that's easier said than done in some environments. For example, it's easier for an operational team in my business to work together than it is a sales team because it's like thoroughbreds and plow horses. The sales team, huge egos usually, and they're all about me in some cases. But still, you've got to pull them together. They need to work as a team and be united in the way that the team is trying to go. I think a role model leader instills a culture of continuous improvement and collaboration. A great leader listens, I think, and builds consensus. They delegate, but they don't abdicate. It can't be management by consensus, but it still needs to be collaborative. As far as key traits, I would say empathy, emotional intelligence, adaptability, especially in the world we live in today, communication skills, which includes being a good listener. I think those are just core competencies that you have to be a good leader. And going back to the sales team example, sometimes your top sales producer would be a terrible sales leader because to be a leader, you have to enjoy seeing other people be successful. You have to want to help them grow and develop and mentor them. It's not all about you. One example, and not to toot my own horn, but I worked in corporate America for 35 years, for one company for 21 years and another company for 14. And I went from a very large company to a smaller company. And when I went to the smaller company, which was Unico, which is now part of Cushman & Wakefield, I took over their sales and marketing function for North America. And it just was dysfunctional. They weren't even measuring sale close ratio, for example. Well, as a sales leader, if I could only measure one thing, it would be close ratio. With all the proposals you put on the table, how many are you winning and how many are you losing? They weren't even measuring it. When I started measuring it, it was probably about 10% because they thought their job basically was to chase every RFP that came in the mail or over the computer. We changed that culture in that you've got to qualify. What's your chance of success? What's the best use of your time? Your calendar's your enemy. So we went from chasing RFPs to prospecting and trying to get there first and influencing the sale. And we went from a 10% close ratio to over 50%, which was a best practice for the industry. And we went from selling $30 million a year over that 14 years to selling about 160, 170 million. It works, but you have to pull everybody together as a team and get them going in the same direction, charging up the same hill.
Oh, really, really good point there. Yes. If they're not all charging up the same hill, there's nothing but waste in your process. Absolutely. Or in your organization, and you're not fully aligned. Good examples there. Love that. What about core values? How do they play a part in defining a great leader?
Well, in my humble opinion, this is just my opinion, but 7 core values of a role model leader. First of all, they need to be a visionary. They got to stay ahead of the competition and the industry. What's next? What can we do better? What's coming down the road? What's the competition doing? I think they have to believe in continuous improvement. I think that's just foundational. They value people. They invest in training and development and team building. They get to know their people and how to communicate with their people, which is different based on gender and age and everything else. You really have to spend some time knowing how to best communicate and motivate someone. I think at the end of the day, they understand it's all about results. You may be doing a great job, but the results aren't there. You're not doing a great job. I'm sorry. Something's wrong. They embrace data and making data-driven decisions. They don't just rely on instincts. Instincts are okay up to a point, but what does the data tell you? They practice self-development, whether it's further in their education, going back to get their master's or their doctorate or whatever, or just reading or going to conferences and seminars or Harvard B School. And they're not afraid to get their hands dirty. For me, over the years, I led teams that were scattered all over the country, which meant I was scattered all over the country. I wasn't afraid to be a road warrior, and I traveled way too much. But at the same time, you can't manage it from the office. You got to be out with your team where you're needed and where you can make a difference. Not looking over the shoulder, not micromanaging. Again, where you can make a difference, where you can support them. Or if you got someone that's struggling or someone new, where you can teach them and mentor them. And that's best done one-on-one. But those would, in my opinion, would be some core values. There's probably many more, but that would be my 7.
Okay, I think you touched on some really good ones there. Being amongst the team. I love the micromanagement, not micromanaging, but having your presence felt.
I would also, a great leader grooms the future leaders. I think that's a good measurement for success. How many people worked for you over the years that are now in leadership positions or higher level positions? And also, when down the road, did you build a sustainable program, an organization that's got sustainable results? Or were you a one-hit wonder? Anybody can have a good year. Anybody can have a bad year. But do you build something that's sustainable? And again, even though you may have a continuous improvement culture yourself, did you build that and instill that into your team so that they're always striving to get better? I mean, those are some things I think that you look at after the fact to see if you really did your job right as a leader.
Honestly, the one thing that I think is most gratifying to me is seeing the people working with me achieving stretch goals, personal stretch goals of their own and growing. That is just very rewarding.
Right. I totally agree. I would feel the same way.
How does the work that you personally do at the Sterling Council recognize these types of role model leaders?
Well, as you mentioned in your introduction, I've been on the board with Sterling over 20 years. I was chairman 3 times, I believe. I'm chairman emeritus now, but I'm also chairman of the foundation. Well, Sterling's been in existence for a little over 30 years, and they've always done a great job of recognizing role model organizations, but we have never recognized role model leaders, really. But that's going to change this year. What we're going to be able to do, recognize John Pieno, my friend and the past chairman of or president of Sterling. Actually, he was the founder of Sterling, who passed away recently. And we're initiating this year the John Pieno Jr. Leadership Award to actually recognize organizations or leaders from organizations, but the specific leaders. And we're going to recognize one each year. And it's named after John, as I said, who was the founder, but he's also a retired naval officer. And I just think he exemplifies what a true leader is all about. So we couldn't ask for a better name on the award, and I think it's going to be an honor to receive it. And I'm looking forward to rolling it out this year. But that's something we're starting just now, and shame on us for not doing it in the past, but we took advantage of John's death actually to spur us on to do this.
Is there a limit to how many role model leaders will be recognized?
We're going to start with just one. We don't want to water it down. We don't want to recognize everybody. We don't want to be giving participation trophies out. Okay. We're going to, and that was, I felt strongly that it should just be one leader. Now that may change down the road. We may do leaders from different markets or industries. We might say maybe there's one for healthcare, one for education, one for manufacturing. I don't know, but initially it's only going to be one.
Okay. And what's the criteria to enter, to be considered as a role model leader?
Well, you can go to the website, and right now we're in the nomination period. We want to recognize someone at this year's conference, which is at the end of May, early June. As the foundation chair, I'm not that involved in the voting or the selection, but Dave Clater and some others have set up some criteria. It's based on the Malcolm Baldrige core principles, core values. I think they picked 7 of those. But go to the website, and there's an opportunity to take a look at.
Okay, so and that website, just for our listeners, is thesterlingcouncil.com.
Right.
Correct?
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. Well, it's been great catching up with you today, Randy. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I appreciate it. Is there anything you want to share before we close out?
No, but thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Randy.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Sterling Visionary Voices, Insights for Role Model Leadership from the Sterling Council. Discover more and connect with us at sterlingvisionaryvoices.com.